Good afternoon, friends, or good morning if you're in Europe, and good evening if you are joining us from Japan. So, a warm welcome to all of you and our specifically our SME companies who are joining in as part of the NISC, the special session where we have foreign representation just to give you a flavor of what's happening out of India within your peer levels. So, as Malik Bhai was suggesting, as an SME company, we also sometimes struggle when we go global as part of a delegation from NASSCOM, where we introduce startup companies, large companies, and SME companies. So SME is always a bit of tricky one because, as Malik Bhai suggested, all of you are doing wonderful jobs in your own respective field. And, the challenge of scale, I think, has been excuse me, has been addressed to a greater degree of extent in last decade or so. If you look at maybe the wealth makers in year 2000 and then over in 2010 and now in 2020, you would have observed that in the last century, most of the wealthiest businesses and businessmen were actually from family-owned businesses who used to be dealing with uh, minerals, ores, mines, and petroleum products, so natural resources. In last 20 years or so, we've seen a sudden influx of tech-oriented companies from the knowledge sector. Companies, some of them have started from garage, some have started from homes, etc., etc. And these are the companies who have now gone on to become the giants, the unicorns of the world. And such is the power of this technology that we all play with and work with on a daily basis, that it gives you immense probabilities and possibilities to be achieve the scale that was probably unthinkable in the last century, maybe in the latter years of 1900 as well. But those are the times that we live in. And given that in this pandemic era, it's so nice to meet with all of you virtually. I don't know about my co-panelists, but I'm getting a little hang on to be able to talk to a camera or a laptop. In the initial few months, it was extremely challenging. But I'm sure you don't want to hear from me. The keeping the theme for the session today, the idea that we are trying to serve over here is, how is it that some of your global peers, some of these small to mid-sized companies in the IT domain across the world are challenging the might of the mighties and the big boys club. And we are today really honored to have three such gems coming in from different parts of the world. We have a company from Denmark, 2021.ai. We have Innoplexus from Germany, and we have AWL from Japan. So it's east of Asia and west of Asia. We're trying to cover a few of the continents. So it gives me immense pleasure to basically introduce our co-panelists for the day. And I'm sure you'd like to hear from them. How are they challenging, creating their own story, creating their own space, and how are they challenging the big boys club in their respective geographies and verticals that they operate in. So, a quick word on the first presenter that we have for today is, let me invite Christian Villumsen. He's the senior advisor with the company named as 2021.ai from Denmark. They are an extremely promising proposition, and Christian himself is a passionate director with a proven track record in fintech, credit and market risk, compliance, and various other portfolio management roles that he's been performing over the past few years. He's currently working as a senior advisor with this great outfit, 2021.ai. This particular company was founded for delivering the same level of AI technology as seen is in the hands of the tech unicorns. And how is it that they wish to transfer this power of technology into the hands of small to mid-sized companies that they are currently serving or working with across the world. So they have a very good presence across Europe, including UK. And with this, let me invite Christian to the stage and to the panel for his initial remarks. But before, Christian, I hand it over to you. You must also share with us, what does this intriguing name of 2021.ai really mean? So Over to you, Christian.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. Let me start by saying thank you very much for letting us join. It's absolutely a pleasure and a privilege to be here today. So the name 2021 actually was for lack of better. We started in 2016, and we always asked companies that we were engaging with, where do you think you're going to be in 5 years? And that turned out to be 2021. And we couldn't find anything better, and we're still sticking with this. And then you might ask, what will happen in a month or two when we are in 2021? Well, we already bought the domain 2120, and that'll give us another 99 years to run on. Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Can you all see it? Good. So once again, thanks for letting me join. A little bit about our leadership. We have Michael Monk, our founder. He was the CIO of Saxo Bank, and he took Saxo Bank from being a bank to actually being a software company. And about 300 financial institutions around the world are actually using this Saxo Bank software. Second, we have Danny Lang, who's more or less a rock star in the realm of AI and machine learning. He headed up Amazon's offering, then went over to orchestrate the platform that Uber is using now for AI called Michelangelo. And last but not least, our chairman of the board is Peter Sandegård, and he is very prominently known. He used to work at Gartner for 30 years and headed up 1,500 researchers and analysts, and more or less set the CIO agenda.
Christian,
so, yes.
One second. Do you want help sharing the screen? We can't see the screen.
Let me just see. I can see the screen being shared.
No, you haven't shared the screen yet. If you can just come to where we are, if you can see me on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, can you just go to the bottom? You can take your cursor to the bottom. You can see the share screen option.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. We can see the screen now. Thank you. Go.
Excellent. Thank you. So we set out to build a AI company for enterprises, and then out of the blue came AI governance, and this is the place that actually sets us aside. This is where we can fight Goliath. This is where we as a small SME can come in and help set the agenda for AI governance. Most of the cloud providers and other AI providers, they provide excellent infrastructure to actually develop and run AI projects, but they're missing the governance aspect of it. So what are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to do what a lot of other companies are doing, shorten the time to value. We found that only about 4% of all machine learning models that are developed are actually reaching production. And this is because machine learning technology is very, very different from standard enterprise technology. Enterprises are used to working with Microsoft and Wintel technology, where AI is often based on open source and Unix. So what we've done is created the platform so that traditional IT can actually cater and run AI machine learnings and take it over from the data scientists. On top of this, we want to make sure that whatever model is created is compliant with whatever regulation and ways of working that the individual companies are working with. We see that a lot of the companies are still in the exploring area when it comes to machine learning. This means that they are finding out what can actually be done within my sector, what has other companies done in the industry. Fewer companies are actually experimenting, running proof of concepts, and actually finding that they can actually have a lot of good value from using AI and machine learning in their company. But the large hurdle comes to actually being able to implement it. So some companies, even fewer, are actually able to run 1 or 2 models in production, and it's very much a handheld process due to the fact that the data scientists developing the models are not able to actually successfully translate and convert this over so that traditional IT can cater for this. This means it's very, very difficult for these companies to scale their organization. Whenever they need a new model, they more or less need a new data scientist. So we've tried to eat that away with our Grace AI platform. The Grace AI platform consists of what you see on this picture. And most offerings in the cloud and on-prem, they offer, of course, model development for experimenting and so forth. What we have done is say we want to do this on an enterprise way so that it can be implemented in regulated organizations and industries. So on top of just having the model development, we also have a project and resource management functionality. We have segregation of roles, meaning that the data scientist can't necessarily deploy the code himself. We have pipelines to order automation and retraining, and we have easy state-of-the-art model deployment, creating standardized RESTful APIs. And we have monitoring, both from a traditional IT performance monitoring on CPU, storage, and so forth, but also from the data science perspective, model accuracy, F1 scores, and so forth. On top of that, we have our governance module, which I'll come into a little more detail on shortly. And of course, everything that we are doing on this platform is completely cloud agnostic, which means if you're already working with Azure, AWS, or Google or some other cloud, we can easily be installed on top of your cloud to help you manage and govern whatever models that you're working with. So in simple terms, we have the development phase, being able to push over and to operate and productionize this, but keeping the governance framework around this. Why is this important? Well, it's very easy to document and set out a goal for your machine learning model at the get-go and say, we don't have biased data, everything is fine, we can put this into production. But the difference between machine learning models and traditional software is that machine learning models have to learn from data. So you have to retrain, which means that the life cycle is very different from traditional software. This also means that when you retrain, you actually have to do the same checks that you did initially when putting the model into production. So there's a lot of work that has to be done. And this is why we've set up our governance framework that wraps around the develop, the deployment, and the operate phase with a set of rules that can be deployed onto the project, which means you cannot deploy a model until all the rules are adhered to. A rule could be that you have filled in a data processing impact assessment, that you have checked accuracy, that you have had a 4i check. And all this is possible because people are talking about model transparency, and this is possible now with AI. It's not a black box anymore. But instead of just talking about model transparency, we talk about global model transparency, which means we log everything that happens throughout the life cycle of a model, from development, from when you add a user to a project, when you start executing code. Everything that the data scientists are doing is logged to an immutable data layer, which means you programmatically can check if there's been a 4i control and not having to rely on this. This also means that when FSA or somebody else from a regulatory institution comes and wants to do an audit, you have complete documentation throughout the life cycle. This is a really, really hard burden to fix if you have to do it manually. Just a few points on what the governance framework consists of. Many different things, questionnaires, rules, rule sets, certificates. And this is all something that we put on top of a project even before any line of code has been made by a data scientist. This means you know where the model has to operate, which means you know what governing laws the model has to operate under, and other regulations that you want to put on top of this. So you set up a rule set that ensures that the model doesn't suddenly go crazy or rogue. And this also gives peace of mind to the C-suite, knowing that they won't end up on the front page or have a jail sentence proposed to them. This was pretty much what I wanted to say. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you very much for that, wonderful insights about very intriguing modeling, schemes that you've built in. I'm sure we have more questions with you, but let's give our other panelists an opportunity first to share their story with the audience today, and then we'll come back to you with more questions. So thank you. With this, we now move on to our next presenter, company from Japan. AWL is the company, and we have Yasuhiro Tsuchida-san, who is the Chief Technology Officer of this company, again operating in AI domain. I think they've been working since last 2016 onwards, which makes them a startup, but they are present in multiple countries, and they have very unique niche area that they operate in. Primarily, I think they're focusing more on the retail side of it, and their mantra is people who work day in and day out in a brick and mortar stores are not viewed as a cost only, but rather as a valuable asset. And their goal is to always be on the lookout for right combination of store, people, and technology. So that's their objective on how they're empowering the brick and mortar retail stores to be more valuable in the current timelines. And I was very intrigued with one of their proposition, which says artificial intelligence plus owl, the instinct of an animal or an owl, is equal to AWL. Now, I'm sure all of you, along with me, would want to understand, what's the rationale and what's the thought process behind this nomenclature that they've used. So, but largely, I think they are doing wonderful work behind the scenes, not just for the retail stores, but also managing, cameras and drawing out more from cameras using AI as a layer. I'm sure you would like to hear their story. So with these briefing words, let me now invite Tsuchida-san from AWL Japan to be on stage and present his initial remarks. Over to you, Tsuchida-san.
Thank you so much. It's very nice, the introduction for me. So today, it's very honor to have such type of very wonderful opportunity to introduce what is AWL. So today, I'd like to introduce about AWL company. Also, what is very disruptive technology of AWL, how we can change the retail utilizing the AI camera. With my presentation, please wait a minute. Could you see my screen? Maybe it's okay. So, okay, I'll start my presentation. I'm Yasuhiro Tsuchida, the Director CTO of the AWL. We are a startup AI company to make retail business efficient by leveraging AI camera technologies. To achieve this, AI engineers of 17 countries develop cutting-edge deep neural network-based image recognition technology and deploy our solution more than 230 locations in Japan so far. We will expand it in global, India and Vietnam and other countries. This year, we focused AI camera solution for COVID-19. So we've honored Mizuho Innovation Award or other with them. We have strong relationship with famous Japanese and global companies, especially this year, we've gotten attention by mass media as top AI camera company for COVID-19 solution in Japan. These are our boarding members, and these are our India team. We have 4 AI camera products, AWL Box, AWL Mini, which are security camera video recording and analyzing system utilizing AI. AWL Lite, digital signage tablet device with analyzing viewers' characteristics. AI sound camera for favor screen. The AWL Box is Edge AI device to store video streams from pre-installed security cameras in retail shop. Not just storing, our powerful deep neural network-based image recognition engine with powerful deep neural compute chip like GFalcon, Halo 8, and MilliardX analyze the stored video to track persons, track the person's age, gender, mask, or other characteristics and behaviors. The result of analysis can be utilized for security alert, edge gender analysis, and other to make retail efficient. The AWL Lite is tablet device with AI, just putting the device at the target location, for example, entrance of the shop. Connecting to the power line, so AWL Lite starts showing useful information on its screen, with counting visitors, analyzing characteristics of visitors. In COVID-19 situation, AWL Lite is used to alert when shop is congested, or the NASS safety estimated by counting visitors wearing masks using sanitizer. Not just COVID-19 situation, AWL Lite can be used for signage, advertisement analysis, commodity contact analysis, and others. I've introduced AWL's products and solutions. From here, I'd like to introduce AWL's disruptive technologies in detail. We started AWL's history is developing edge AI camera, edge AI image processing device and software. We've started development from 2018 because from this year, some of chip vendors started offering deep neural computer chip called DNN chip to dramatically accelerate convolutional deep neural network-based image processing with low price, low power consumption, comparing with high-end GPU. So we could utilize these chips to construct AI camera system with commodity IoT device like Raspberry Pi. We've developed the first AWL box on Raspberry Pi, but it doesn't work well because Raspberry Pi would break very easily when blackout of shops or other events of the very usual shop operations. The second reason is difficulty of scaling. Because our developed software was implemented with tightly combined with Raspberry Pi and DNN chip. So if we'd like to apply more complicated model, for example, the pose estimation by customer's request, but our system's computer resources was very limited because of Raspberry Pi and the chip, that we couldn't propose such powerful model to the customers quickly. The third reason is the difficulty of the fine-tuning. Even if we have nice general person detection model, but it's difficult to achieve nice accuracy at the actual shop environment because of difference between images of training and security camera video data, because of security cameras angle, lens distortion, lighting, and so on. We need innovating the cutting-edge mechanism that with combining machine learning mechanism with VMS, video management system, to get the necessary video data for training effectively. These are maybe common issue to apply edge AI camera system for customers' actual space. So we've developed AWL box system to solve this issue. This illustrates AWL box system. The system combines BMS to achieve two important functionality. The first is to control processing priority of video taken by multiple cameras. In case of the actual shop, the several cameras takes many persons, but others are not. In this case, the system assigns much GPU resources for busy cameras. If certain inference is not high priority, for example, edge gender estimation is okay to be infer later. It's not needed in real time. The system skips such low priority inference, and when GPU resource will be idle, the low priority inference will be assigned to GPU with past video from BMS. We have a Japan patent for this technology. The second is to select suitable unwrapped video data from BMS for semi-supervised learning. In our semi-supervised learning process, we need annotating slightly number of the image of selected video data. We won't annotate huge amount of the video data for fine-tuning. Also, we'll add 3D synthesized labeled dataset, which is patent pending technology of AWL. This is our the 3D computer graphics, the dataset synthesizing application to generate person detection, tracking, the face detection, and the recognition training. By utilizing such type of technology, we can dramatically reduce the fine-tuning time. This is very important AWL technology. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tsuchida-san. Thank you very much for that very intriguing presentation. We have many questions for you, but we'll hold on to them. And we'll request our next presenter, who's from Germany, Gunjan Bhardwaj. He's the CEO of Innoplexus Germany, and they're also, working in this AI domain. They're also integrating blockchain technology, more particularly in the life sciences vertical. Let me share, brief about Gunjan first. Gunjan himself is a founder and CEO of Innoplexus Group. He was earlier working with Boston Consulting Group and with E&Y in his earlier avatar. I think he was the German practice head for E&Y a few years ago. At Innoplex, they think that there's a gap between consulting and technology paradigms, and sense that there's a need for different standards, and Innoplex founded for this particular reason. And since then, they've been bringing innovation into decision-making processes and are driving digital transformation for their clients. In building intelligent applications, they bring together research, engineering, UX design, and other expertise to be able to use machine learning and AI to solve some of these very tough problems, including curing cancer or predictive analysis and so on and so forth. And they have now recently also integrated blockchain technology to aid decision making. I'm sure you would like to hear from him. How are they doing that, and how it benefits their customers from most of these, specifically in life sciences domain. I think Innoplex is also present in India. They have an office in India. They have presence in US as well. But these few words, let me invite Gunjan on stage to share his first few thoughts. Gunjan, over to you.
Namaste. Good morning, everybody. I'm based out of Germany. It's a great honor to be to have this opportunity to present. As you know, I was born and brought up in India. I studied in India, so it's always a pleasure and honor. Innoplexus is the biggest AI at scale platform for drug discovery and development. We have 22 patents, US and EU patents. We have over 120 patent applications, 350 colleagues spread over 2 offices in US, 1 in India, and the headquarters are here in Germany. And we work with all the big pharma companies. And we have 2 businesses. In one business, we what we call partnerships. We work together with biotechs and pharmas, providing insights, helping them in the drug discovery and development process against a royalty participation right in the drug. So we go at risk and provide our AI platform to make the right decisions, the right choices. And in lieu of that, get the upside in terms of the participation right when that drug is commercialized. And the other business is the platform business, wherein we also provide access to our base platform for decision support to funds that are investing in listed life science companies, patients through our app, Curia. We already have 10,000 cancer patients in Germany on our app. And of course, biotechs and pharmas, as well as CROs. So that's what Innoplexus is. Important is to understand the genesis, because we all talk about, hows and whats, but the why is very central and very important. by sheer luck, after I graduated, I lived in Bombay. I graduated from IIT Bombay, and I just, as a matter of chance, landed up in Germany and had a fantastic time. I did my PhD, worked for ENY, BCG, met some of the most wonderful mentors, friends, colleagues. In this journey, my first boss and my best friend, whose family was my only family when I first came here, he was diagnosed with cancer. And I'm sure most of you would have felt something similar. When something very close to you sits, and you could see the family whom you had cherished a great number of good moments, the feeling of hopelessness and helplessness that dwarfs you cannot be explained. And since then, I've seen this a number of times with friends and family. No matter what grades you have in school, what network you have, how much capital you have access to, in such a situation, there are unanswered questions. What are the alternatives? Are there clinical studies taking place where this person could potentially participate and have access to an innovative therapy? Who are the real experts for his specific kind of disease, kind of cancer? There are no ready-made answers, because medicine is like religion in the 18th century. In that time, most of the people were uneducated, didn't speak the language of the gods, so priests had all the power over them. They communicated for these poor people to gods for them. In medicine, the priests are the pharmas, the biotechs, as well as the physicians. And the poor people, I would say, are investors, regulators, and unfortunately, patients. There is no way for them to understand the language of medicine. And in COVID, we saw what an order of complexity medical knowledge has. Medical knowledge is doubling itself every 73 days. There is an immense explosion of data spread over, as well as the degree of specificity, the order of complexity in this data. So how do we solve this problem? There were two schools of thought. I mean, being an Indian, sometimes your first instinct is to throw resources at a problem, because we have a lot of these resources, but at such a doubling rate, you can't just keep on annotating all of this data to make sense of it. And also, the extant knowledge changes. If you call, something a gene or a protein and it becomes a biomarker, you can't go on annotating all the data from scratch again. So you looked at AI. There was one big school that would say, brute force computational power and NLP, and you can solve everything and, act God. That doesn't work, because every domain has its own language. Physicians in Germany do not speak German; they speak, medicinal German. You have a domain and an ontology, a domain-specific language for medicine. So it was important that we kind of leveraged a unique life science ontology to be able to understand the context. When we talk of EGFR, are we talking about a protein, a gene, a biomarker, a target, or the filtration rate of human kidneys? This semantic understanding for AI is key, apart from structuring, the ability to structure all of this data. The second approach that's also followed by some of our counterparts in the US, it's about, we can't solve everything. Let's focus AI on one specific problem, be it small molecules or a specific question. There are two challenges with this. Biology is a complex system. You can't silo the brain and say, everything on Alzheimer's will find on, first degree relationships. Second, all of them focused only on biological validation, even though a lot of value is destroyed and seldom also, of course, created in the clinical and commercial stages. So we created an AI at scale platform, learning from the challenges in these two schools of thought of AI, wherein we have created a vertical extraction architecture for all the published data, we structure and bring it together in a context in the largest research graph that's updated in real time. And for proprietary data, instead of data pools, we leverage blockchain to equitably and in a very fair way incentivize those biobanks, patients, and scientists who contribute their data to train our models. That's Innoplexus.
Thank you, Gunjan, for that wonderful and, should I say, quite technical presentation, at least for my own self, because I have no experience in life sciences domain or from biology domain. Bharat, can we have all our presenters on the screen so that we can have follow-up questions with all of them? Wonderful. Thank you. So, Christian, since you went first, so the first question comes to you. You mentioned that you've been working primarily and focusing really heavily on the AI governance part. Why don't you build on that? Why is so much focus on AI governance?
Well, there's a very easy explanation for that. The governing an AI model is something that, if you have to do it manually, takes a lot of resources, and takes the resources away from the wrong people. If you have a proper framework to actually both govern and document AI model, it makes it a lot simpler for enterprises to adhere to common laws and have a better transparency in what they're working with. A lot of enterprises don't even know the extent of their model usage. So just getting an overview of where in our enterprise do we actually have AI models is an essential step to being able to govern it. And regulation is becoming harder and harder in more and more industries. And this is why this is a key point for us to focus on, and there's a huge demand and market for this. Legislation now requires a lot of companies, at least here in Europe, in their next annual report to document on how they're working with models. Just like what happened with the GDPR and privacy, this is also going to affect the way that enterprises work with AI models.
The European Commission has been working extensively on AI in ethics. And given that you're working so closely with this particular topic, are you guys sending in your inputs for the consultation which is currently on in European Commission?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're working very closely with a large financial institution in Italy, PwC, and 8 universities on a project that's called Horizon 2020, where we are sitting and assisting and defining key KPIs and measurements in how AI should be governed. So yes, we're following that very, very closely.
Thank you, Christian. Tsuchida-san, thank you very much for your presentation. A question for you is, what are the difficulties that you normally encounter in the real world, examples when you have to integrate cameras with AI technology? And if you can share with us, a small use case where you solved a particular problem for a particular store, maybe in Hokkaido or wherever, so that it gives people and the audience an idea how your solution, camera and software, basically helps the end customer.
Okay, so the AWS current target is the retail, and so I don't know that the situation in global, but in the case of the Japan market, so actually the retail doesn't have very big money to invest the development for the AI or IT. So if we will offer the AI camera solution to the retail area, so it means we should offer the AI camera solution with very low price. So what we should do is how to reduce the cost to develop the AI camera system to the retail. Also, how to install and operate the AI camera system in the retail. So very difficulty is the two things. The first is according to the model fine-tuning thing. This is maybe very, very common problem of the AI, I think. So to achieve very low-cost fine-tuning system, we are using the BMS. The BMS is the system to store the video data of the security camera. If we can utilize this video data for the fine-tuning, we can achieve a very good fine-tuning with very low cost. So first, we be focusing on developing very cutting-edge mechanism for the fine-tuning utilizing the BMS video data. This is the first point. And the second point is, so I don't know, this also, maybe this is the unique point of the Japanese market, but the retail size is very different from very small shop and very large scale shop. So the second very big issue is if we are developing something AI solution, but if this solution is only for the small business, the middle business, or large size of business, so we can't offer these AI camera solution for such type of the customers. So that we developed AWL box system, which can be installed kinds of the edge AI devices. If the system is only for one device, so if the one device is only for very small business, we can offer our AWL box system technology for only small business. But the AWL box system is very flexible. We can install this system from very small, very limited devices to the very large scale devices. So we can offer AWL box, the system technology, from this very small business and very large business. So fine-tuning and scalability is the important issue to apply the AI camera system to the retail.
So will it be right to say, Tsuchida-san, that your solution can work with other cameras already installed by retail stores, or do they need to buy only your cameras so the system works?
So our system is integrated is BMS, and our BMS can be connected with more than 9,000 of the IP cameras. So it means we can utilize already installed cameras in retail.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Gunjan, the question to you is, just learning through your past experiences, you've been with BCG and EY, and now, you've started this company that is doing this wonderful work in drug discovery platform and predictive care analysis. So is it because of your past background and educational experiences that you started this venture, or is it because of the co-founders that you're currently working with? Give us a sense, because I think that will be a question for a lot of your peer levels here in India on this is a very relative niche area. You normally don't get into this life sciences domain of drug discovery or cure analysis unless until you yourself are from biology or related field, or doctor yourself.
So of course, I mean, I studied at Powai in IIT, and I had a couple of companies that I started there. So entrepreneurship was kind of embedded right from the beginning. The first company we set up was when I was 18, and I think Professor Anil Gupta at IIM Ahmedabad, he gave us our first seed. So it was always there. And then, of course, after coming to Europe, as I mentioned, my first boss and my mentor, who was always with me, I mean, I was every second weekend at his home with his family, because I didn't speak German, that was my only family. When he was diagnosed with cancer, that was this first moment when I said, well, there are so many patients, you get cancer, you don't know what the alternatives are. Every hospital website, you see an oncologist, but there are like 400 types of cancers. What is his specialization? Where does he publish in? What kind of studies he's doing? There is no way to find answers to these questions. So one way was to whine about it and to be very abstract and theoretical. And the second bit was to really do something about it. I think that was the calling. And I said, we need to do something about this. And the only way to answer many questions, because there are so many open questions, and AI is an amazing lever. But AI has 4 components, as you know: algorithms, computational power, people, but most important, data. You need data that's structured, and you need data in a context. You need semantic intelligence. You need the understanding of a specific domain. And that's what we created. So every day we jump out of the bed, all 350 people that we have, and we say we need, because this is a battle we have to win for all those patients that expect these answers.
Exactly. Keep up the good work. There are millions and millions of people who are, battling with this, and many of us have lost people that we loved so dearly because of this disease. Please carry on with your good work. I guess we have a couple of minutes left. So, Christian, I guess you and your organization currently are present across Europe. That's given. But are you open to working with Indian companies, or are you looking to, maybe try and sell your proposition in India?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're certainly looking for one, selling, but the way we want to sell is through partners. We see ourselves as a software company providing framework for doing proper AI governance, and yes, we're very much open to that. Thanks for asking. We currently have partners in the United States, Japan, and Germany, but we want to grow.
Thank you. I'm sure there will be plenty of people around here after looking at your presentation who may wish to get connected with you. Tsuchida-san, a similar question to you. I understand from your presentation that you have a presence in India, though we're not sure, what sort of presence you have. Is it like sales or more like development side kind of presentation? And in India, we have a lot of pop and mom retail stores. So most of them are not using camera technologies at the moment. But within that rural India, there's an urban India as well, and you have big retail stores and chains. So your sense about your scheme of things with respect to India?
Yeah, actually, if we had the chance, we directly expand our business to the India. Now that we have a very good relationship with IIT Bombay, and now that we are doing the collaborative R&D type of activity, also we are seeking the chance to offer the first installing store of the AWL box. So we'd like to expand the AWL box in the India. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Gunjan, to you, a very different question, given that most of the Indian folks will relate to you and look up to you. So what is your success mantra for SME companies, who are doing business in India, who want to go global, who want to scale up? Being a person of Indian origin, what comes to your mind?
There are three things. First is purpose, and people hear it in in interviews and read. But purpose is so core to everything. And purpose cannot be, I'll do an IPO in 3 years, I'll have an exit in 2 years. That's nonsensical. You need to create an impact. You need to create a legacy. And I was a student, and Arun Sareen, I heard him in a Pan IIT event, the erstwhile CEO of Vodafone. He said, us Indians have this problem. Once we reach a level, we say, life is great, I have a family, and now I have to enjoy. That shouldn't be what we should be doing. We have such dynamism, such energy in our country. We should all aspire to create an impact.
Wonderful. Nicely said. I think that's a very good point to conclude our session today. I'm afraid there are plenty more questions that we can keep coming at you, but I'm afraid that's about the what the time allows us to take it today. But thank you very much, all of you, Christian, Tsuchida-san, and Gunjan, for taking time out and being present here, sharing your thoughts, sharing your value proposition with the Indian SMEs. So thank you very much for your time. I'm sure many of these folks would like to get connected with you. Once we receive those requests, we will come back to you in due course, and we'll request you to take time out and interact with them. So thank you very much, all of you, my co-panelists. Wonderful session, wonderful thoughts. I'm afraid that we don't have more time to continue this discussion, so maybe on some other day. But with that, we come to the end of today's session. I'm sure that all our audience in India will get bit of inspiration from these three very different, innovative companies, all doing their bit with respect to AI. So in case you wish to get connected with either one of them, just let us know and we'll be happy to connect you. And stay safe, stay at home if possible, and look forward to having these kind of discussions more often. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.